Yes, a very good evening to you tuned into UBC TV. We warmly welcome you to News Tonight. Let's start with a look at the top stories that we have. Bishop Albert Baharagate laid to rest in Hoima Diocese. 3 pupils killed in a road crash in Mbale City. Court declines to grant Minister Kitutu bail, while journalists demand police apology over harassment. It's News Tonight. Welcome aboard. My name is Michael LUKOMWA. Elizabeth Nakakoni joins us for sign language interpretation. In our first story, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has joined the rest of Ugandans in condoling the Catholic community over the loss of the late Right Reverend Edward Baharagate. The former Bishop of Hoima Catholic Diocese passed on at Nsambya Hospital in Kampala on the 5th of April 2023. In a message delivered by Prime Minister Robin Anabanja, President Museveni said that Bishop Baharagate has been a great religious leader who used his position to promote peace, unity and development in the country. Henry Okurut is in Hoima and he reports.
By 10 a.m., the setting at Bujumbura Catholic Diocese in Hoima City was ripe for the remains of the foreign bishop to be ushered in. These religious leaders were just a handful of hundreds of mourners who had gathered to witness his official send-off. The choir and its melodious songs were just enough to prove that the life of Bishop Emeritus of Hoima Catholic Diocese, Albert Edward Baharagate, was worth celebrating. The readings, preaching and other messages of the day were just on point.
We have lost a father, a brother, and a wonderful friend. We shall miss him. We shall never forget his great contribution to our diocese.
Yes, Christ, my hope is risen. Christ indeed, from death is risen. Our new life obtained. Have mercy, Victor King, ever crying.
We thank him for his contribution to the diocese of Hoima, including integral social development and formal education.
The arrival of the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Robin Anabanja, was just in time to see government fully represented. She was here to deliver a condolence message on behalf of the President.
On behalf of the NRM government and on my own behalf, I extend condolences to the Catholic Church, the family of the late Bishop, and all the people of Bunyoro sub-region upon the loss of the beloved shepherd. The country has lost a great religious leader who used his position as bishop and influence in society to promote peace, unity, and development.
Museveni contributed 20 million Uganda shillings as condolence, while Robin Anabanja extended 5 million. The President described the foreign bishop as a dependable leader and wise counselor.
In this hour of grief, you must take consolation in the fact that Bishop Baharagate lived a life of purpose and meaning. The late Bishop has departed from us after distinguished service to God and his country, Uganda. All those who are associated with him must be proud of his legacy and the sense of braveness which you feel now.
The president told mourners to follow Bishop Baharagate's industrious example by embracing government programs.
This therefore is to request you, fellow mourners, to support government's effort towards social economic transformation through compulsory free education for all our school-going children, wealth creation programs such as PDM, Yoga, etc. Finally, the most befitting honor that you can give and render to the memory of the late Bishop Edward Baharagate is to emulate his wonderful example of faithful service to God and the country.
Earlier, Bunyoro Kingdom Prime Minister Andrew Byakutaga had challenged the parents and careerists to embrace training in oil activities as provided at Uganda Petroleum Institute in Kigumba. Bishop Edward Baharagate is reported to have succumbed to diabetes and hypertension at Insambia Hospital. He has been laid to rest at Bujumbura Episcopal Mausoleum at Bujumbura Cathedral in Hoima City. Henry Okurut, UBC, Hoima.
Next to the family members and VIPs.
Crown Beverages have opened a new factory at Kakungulu worth $90 million, which is a testimony in the growth of investment in Uganda from 1.8 million cases sold annually to over 65 million cases of soda. The Vice President, representing the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, said that if one produces a good or a service and nobody or only a few people buy it, the enterprise collapses. She emphasized that a market is important, and the bigger the market, the more the profits. And Alupo congratulated the board and staff of Crown Beverages upon this milestone. The Vice President attributed the increase in sale by Crown Beverages Limited of over 65 million cases annually to government's privatization policy. She congratulated the shareholders, saying the company has been known for contribution to the economy through various ways, such as direct and indirect employment in different chains, high level of local content, and their investment in corporate social responsibility in different sectors. The chairman, Crown Beverages Amos Nzei, said the day marks the achievements of the policy of the government of Uganda, led by Yoweri Museveni, in privatizing parastatals and government companies. He said that Pepsi promotes women and gender balance, highlighting the fact that Crown Beverage has 40% of their employees totaling to women. The director of PepsiCo, Paul Anderson, said that the facility is a true state-of-the-art that will supply the market effectively, adding that the success of any business is thriving community. Maggie Chigozi, one of the board members, moved a vote of gratitude to Amos Nzei for his passion in leading the company through it all. She said the company had won different awards and maintained quality global standards.
Thank you for inculcating those values on the workforce of Crown Beverages. Mr. CEO, as the people of Uganda, our interests are still to continue partnering with you for the good of the people of Uganda and the region. There are also important enablers which are needed to lower the costs of production in order to guarantee the profitability of enterprises and convey the goods and services to the consumers. These enablers include peace and security, good roads, electricity, low cost of labor, favorable policies, ICT backbone, railways, etc.
Somebody who kept the money, and I need the money before I go to bid because I need to present a good bid. So I approached Mr. Kayoka. I said, "You must get those money that you kept somewhere." He responded positively, and here we are presenting this picture.
May we put together our hands for Vice President? I will then also request.
Now, the Human Rights Network for Journalists, together with National Association of Broadcasters, have appealed to Uganda police to respect the rights of the Fourth Estate. This follows a recent mistreatment of journalists by police while they were on duty.
The Human Rights Network for Journalists, together with media associations, have appealed to Uganda police to respect journalists as a way of keeping law and order.
The owners have committed to support us in this campaign all through. One, by writing to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, expressing their dissatisfaction over what happened to journalists, writing to Parliament of Uganda to discuss this matter as a very important national matter, where security forces are attacking journalists left, right and center at will, but they're also engaging the Ministry of Internal Affairs, under which the police falls.
Without the media, we cannot go that far. And if we keep on intimidating the press from any other corner, it would mean that eventually the profession called media or journalism in this country will die. So if the journalism profession dies in this country, it means a blackout. It means no development will take place.
The President Uganda Parliamentary Press Association, Sam Ibanda Mugabe, says the plight of journalists harassed on duty shall be addressed.
I'm scheduled to have a meeting with the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Anita Among, and the key issues that we are going to discuss is to inform her about the increasing, dehumanizing way police officers are treating journalists these days.
One of the journalists, Thomas Kitimbo, narrated to the media what happened to him and his fellow journalists during the fateful incident.
On what happened yesterday, and also I think it was uncalled for. And it's not, I think it wasn't necessary at all for a journalist who is in the line of duty, doing his job, and then is attacked, pepper spray him. I think that is indiscipline.
The media is a critical element of democracy, one that informs the public to make right decisions and transform lives. But with this unnecessary display of power by Uganda police against journalists in line of duty, the basic question we now ask is, with whom shall media collaborate to attain a society that is free from human rights violation and abuse? Joshua Kagoro, UBC.
President Yoweri Museveni has reiterated his firm stand against corruption, vowing to crush any public official found practicing the vice. President Museveni, currently in West Nile sub-region to popularize wealth creation and parish development model, was this afternoon addressing a rally at Arua Golf Grounds in Arua City. He noted that government has established departments to fight corruption such as the IGG and Auditor General's Office, among others.
To do what they wanted to do.
He said that
and pay back.
He said that
they don't have to pay back in 1 year. I don't want you to submit them to say pay back in 1 year because
all the king extended the government in India.
Because they are borrowing mainly from agriculture.
Ask me what else they do what they need.
They started now raising our people united. The report I got from Minister that here, everybody said now, this is very simple. I will send my state house and capacity. And even now, if you know about the market, you can come forward and tell me what's the problem. Okay, so let's the government crash. Any of the partners in Uganda is dealing with fire. We are going to finish them.
Especially in seeing the people of West Nile come back from exile. We want to thank you. Mr. President, we want to thank you that you have started this process of transforming Uganda, and the people of West Nile are with you.
Is the West Nile in support that the President becomes our official flag bearer at 2026 general election?
Ministry of Health has told medical pre-interns to be patient as the issues of internship deployment are yet to be resolved. The Ministry of Health spokesperson Emmanuel Ainebiona says that Cabinet is still discussing financing issues. Until then, the ministry is unable to deploy the waiting interns.
Uganda medical pre-interns fraternity are protesting their delayed deployment by Ministry of Health that was due 3rd April 2023. The interns say they have not received official response, though the ministry claims to have informed them about the delays.
We wrote to the sites of internship that apparently they are not ready for the internship and it's going to be delayed, and they did not even commit themselves. Maybe it's going to be delayed by 1 week or 2 weeks.
Director General late last month communicated to the pre-interns that there are ongoing consultations on how the internship is to be coordinated, and this communication indicated that there will be a delay of about 2 weeks.
The interns want the ministry to respond to their grievances by Friday this week. In the same vein, they have petitioned the Speaker of Parliament on the same.
We are waiting for their reply, and we promise them by Friday, if they haven't replied, because Friday is the last working day of this week, we shall sit as interns and find a solution to the current problem that we have at the moment.
Ministry of Health has told medical pre-interns to be patient as they await feedback from Cabinet on issues of finance.
We are looking for resources, and basically that is why we hope that Cabinet will provide a decision on this matter.
Medical interns also want allowance disparities addressed ahead of the 2023-2024 internship. As per the President's directive, interns are supposed to receive half the money paid to their seniors, which is not yet implemented. Miriam Mcha, UBC News.
Senior Presidential Advisor on Special Operations, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, has implored religious leaders to help government build in guiding and shaping communities. This was in his delegated communication to the Christians of Nabi Emmanuel Ministries in Biguli, Kamwenge district by the Vice National Chairperson of Western Uganda, Baharagate.
This border motorcade ushered in the MK Movement National Vice Chairperson for Western Uganda, Baharagate in Kamwenge district. He was representing the Senior Presidential Advisor on Special Operations, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who is on invitation by the Nabi Emmanuel Ministries. In this church, which is referred to as Heaven, Balaam was ushered in by Nabi Emmanuel Nwabigaba, the lead overseer of the Nabi Emmanuel Ministries located in Biguli, Kamwenge district.
Thank you very much, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, for the good work we are doing, for your good leadership. We shall reach all worship places. We shall reach all religious centers, as long as you are peaceful, and we shall develop Uganda together.
In a delegated communication to the congregation, the MK Movement National Vice Chairperson for Western Uganda invited Christians to help government in rallying citizens to embrace development.
Try to take advantage of the available government programs like parish development model, Operation Wealth Creation, Myoga. Tap into those programs and get small money to do some work, so that you can make a living.
Besides development, Baharagate also popularized and drummed support for General Muhoozi Kainerugaba.
Abantu babiguli mwebali kwenda NRM, mwebali kwenda Muzeyi Museveni, kandi mwebali kukunda n'okugonza mukuru wange chairman waitu wa MK General Muhoozi Kainerugaba.
On his part, Nabi Emmanuel Nwabigaba reaffirmed his commitment towards supporting the current regime.
NRM ahetwihire tukebwaga turanitwijuka Yoweri Kaguta Museveni ahatuhire nihale itwa ntusima nkabanya Uganda ntusima kandi nkabanya Biguli ntusima kandi ka district ya Karamoja ntusima titukurugamuramwa ito tukiryamuramwa kandi tuzakombeka NRM kurugari gemu kukasa ya muheru.
However, the self-proclaimed God was quick to endorse General Muhoozi Kainerugaba as the next president of Uganda.
Uganda ninjiraganisante twaba ntwetagwa businje omukurakura n'omukugamba ekigambo live. Muhoozi ayine kwemera Uganda bamukyetagwa businje kandi omugambira oti Uganda naza kukyebera.
On behalf of the MK Movement, Baharagate committed shillings 1.5 towards the church development.
Zimuyambe mukuombeka kanisa.
Meanwhile, preparations for General Muhoozi Kainerugaba's West Buganda tour are in final stages.
What's happening here is a patriotism development training for the local leaders of Kasambia County or constituency, which includes the village health teams, the local council chairperson 1s, the local council chairperson 2s, LC3 chairpersons of the 8 sub-counties under Kasambia.
On Friday, 14th April 2023, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba will launch the MK chapter for West Buganda, among other duties in Kasambia.
This patriotism training was designed to ensure that it changes, first of all, and to change their mindsets, their orientation towards the perception of government programs.
Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Ntungamo District has held their Women's Day celebrations during a function officiated by First Lady Janet Museveni at Kajara County Headquarters. The celebrations were attended by members of parliament from Ntungamo District, including Michael Timuzigu of Kajara, Zinkuratire of Ruhama, Naomi Kabasharira Rushenyi, and Yonda Musinguzi of Ntungamo Municipality. Local government leaders, religious leaders, women entrepreneurs, and the general public.
Mrs. Museveni was officiating at the belated Women's Day celebrations for Ntungamo district held at Kajara County Headquarters grounds in Rashamire. In her remarks, she noted that time has come for Ugandans to stop celebrating international days blindly without any cause, as this never benefits us.
Kurunoja ngu buri mwaka tuyikirizana nk'abakazi abebembezi especially ngo umwaka ogwo gutwatandika ntuza kukora ki nk'abakazi becyanga iki rero kutureje ha celebration zo mwaka gurkwije buri omwe ije ha kuhereza obujurizi ecyakozire kushikiriza icyo kitwayikirize ine kiro cyo nikiba kina makuru nikiba kine kikumanyisa not only for the lives of the women themselves konka habwa makagabo habwa abana babo habwa icyanga cyabo omukazi murungi tikikumanyisa oburungi obwameisho nga omukazi murungi nikimanyisa omugasho gwine ahabwa family yawe.
The First Lady observed that though merrymaking is not bad, it should be for those who are already satisfied and not for people whose children go to school without lunch.
Nyokunagiro Ministry of Education naye hinguriza Uganda yona ningeza ho campaigninga. Imagine campaigninga ngu families zikirize ngu buri mwana omukasheshe bamukomere ekyarari yahishomero. Omwana base kuzaha ishomero eshaza zo kurgira cyo kurya kuzirahike agire kiyarya agaricyo mukibina shoni. Rero naza television rero na leta containers rero nagambira abantu koko boine kitoke cyawo mu rutoke noyimuka notekera umwana wa wakatogo no katomu container yawe nakatomusha hoye shahaza lunch kuzuhika naba nama yango ine cyo kurya koko yingo obutunda bwa yera no komera umwana wawe akatogo no mutera mwakacupa ko butunda umwana wawe nagire kiyarya nagire kiyanywa nashoma takusiba nahungira umishonero konka ecyo kikarema mbwenshi abacyara ababana babo barukusibana bahungira umukibina babuzire cyo kurya izoba ryabacyara rikika bakijaha kuzina nimujyango kikire.
Mrs. Museveni challenged the women to start projects that can bring income in their homes. She illustrated that despite the fact that she has a formal job, she grows matoke and other products for sale to make money for herself and her family. She advised women not to always look to government and the Western world for money.
Nyoningere ngutuyine kusimuka ubona kubushikire tumukurebe enso ni mwaba kureba television tumukurebe enso kweri ubona kubushikire obutuyine kutandika kubarira ebituru gukora umaka gaitu ngo mbase kubaje rahanga katuhereze ensi mbwenu erukukira y'oburungi atuhere enjura ejenjure yimukureba Uganda mutagira ngo enjura nukweri ensi zone abantu nabane baronda n'amezi go kunywa batagabona konkito rahanga katuhenjura akatuhensi eyino bunyatsi eyine buri kintu cyone kitwetenga konka bituraho twine kitkubikozesa kandi nturira enjara.
The First Lady also urged the women to work unity and promote the culture of saving for investments. She further appreciated the woman member of Parliament for Ntungamo, Honorable Jocelyn Kamatenet Bata, for ensuring that this time round, the Women's Day celebrations is used to sensitize the public about the various government programs for economic empowerment. The First Lady also urged women to take advantage of all programs introduced by government, including Emyoga, the Parish Development Model, and others intended to empower the people. She made a strong appeal to Ugandans to employ the same commitment they used to fight HIV/AIDS, to battle against the LGBT agenda, which has come to destroy our children. Honorable Kamatenti Bata explained that the highlight of the celebrations was sensitizing the public about the various government programs, instead of the usual singing, dancing, and exhibitions by women groups. Various speakers of the day appreciated President Museveni and the NRM government for the development programs in the country. The celebrations were attended by, among others, members of Parliament from Ntungamo district, including Honorable Michael Timuzigu, Honorable Zikuraite, Honorable Naomi Kabasharira, and Honorable Yona Musinguzi, local government leaders, religious leaders, women leaders, women entrepreneurs, and the general public. Reporting for UBC, Baguma William.
Police in Mbale has confirmed the death of 3 pupils in an accident. The Elgon Region Police spokesperson Taiti Karamoja said that the bodies of the fallen children are in the city mortuary in Mbale as police investigations start.
Abadde wa myaka 3 mu kitundu omulala wa myaka 9 deni omukulu wako abadde wa myaka
kwenyuma mutwera yatima yapa abantu babere bataru inakulira eko obosi utakala omwana akulira kinaka bono kundu wakwira asi walo makuri shi
ngafuna obubaka nti waliwo abaana abafunye accident mu kubo mu town Kutororo Road near hospital station. Kati kugamba abasomesa ababadde boogera ningamba musooke muddeyo mulabe abaana abo babadde kinga kata mulimu omwana omwanga ali mu uniform ya Nabuyonga. Kati abasomesa abazeeyo nga kituufu
okukolebwa nga tonna
abaana bwabeera mu uniform omuntu amulaba mangu n'akubira essomero oba simu oba n'atuukayo n'abagamba mwana wange wuuno ali wano afunye obuzibu naffe ne tutuukayo naye bwe bate bali mu uniform nga kati bano abaafu mubaddeko omu yekka nga ali mu uniform nga abalala tebalina.
Very bad story there. Meanwhile, banana traders in Masaka, still on a sad one, in Masaka market have woken up in grief after hearing good news of their fellow vendors getting involved in an accident which left one of them dead and 8 others critically injured. The accident occurred near the Masaka market. It is suspected to have been caused by a driver of a trailer that was carrying matoke, failing its driver, hence falling. The trailer number KBD 88Y ZCB9381, which was carrying matoke vendors from Luti Market Mbarara, failed the driver as he was approaching Masaka Market, knocked a transformer and fell down. One Namanda Rebecca died in the accident and others were rushed to Masaka Regional Referral Hospital in critical condition. Survivors alleged that the driver received bad news that he was cheated by the broker who loaded the matoke from Mbarara. This annoyed him, hence losing it, and started driving carelessly.
na Kenya mulka ye Kenya bagenda ngero kebera ekitabo kyabwe nga sente tezikola ki teziri mu babloka bababiddewa mbalala naye nga ffe batuggyeko sente ffenna abasinga bagenda kutunula oli bamubalansinze oli bamubalansinze oli bamubalansinze kati ffe okutuuka watugamba ffe twasasudde sente tusigaza balansi zero temuna kye tubanje okujjako kututuusa kati tukuvaawo nga beekyanze bo bennyini atandise kuvuga mmotoka misinde muna Kenya ababadde mu maaso ffe abalala tubadde mabega kwe kumugamba lwaki otuvuga misinde bw'owulira nga weekyaye funawo paakinga tuggyeko ebiki ebintu byaffe nzijukira nga emmotoka eyimirira ina weeyimiridde n'agiyimiriza mu biti n'addamu n'agitandika bupya n'atandika okutukalatula emisinde ekiddiridde kuba ffe tubadde mabega nti kuliko ettundubaali ekiddiridde ng'ezo ogenda okuwulira emmotoka etandise okuba ng'egwa mu biki mu binnya.
Baddawo saa nga 11 emmotoka netuyitako ng'eremereddwa okusiba tugenza okuwulira ng'egukidde eno wansi mu sowegi era egudde naye nkutebereze baddemu abantu abasoba mu 10 naye Mukama ayambye omuntu omu yafudde.
Emmotoka yegaana okusiba kwe kukkirira wano ate ebinnya binene nnyo bigikubye neebuuka mu bbanga paka wansi.
Accident in the morning from Mbarara.
and I don't know anybody here. I urge our government to come and rescue me.
Nekirira speed kilometers nga 2 okuva we badde ino okuyimirira negwa mu nnimiro eriranyeewo era nerumya abantu abawerako nga mu bano omwafiiriddewo ng'abadde ayitibwa Namanda Rebecca ng'ono mutuuze w'omu Nnyendo era omulambo gwe gusobodde okuba nti kutwalibwa Mulago mu ddwaliro ekkulu e Masaka okubeera nga gukolebwako postmortem.
Talk with freedom. Get MTN Freedom Voice bundles that don't expire. Dial *100 *21# or my MTN app for more bundles. Together, we're unstoppable.
The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, under the auspices of the East African Community, will host the 10th East African Petroleum Conference and Exhibition 2023 from the 9th to the 11th of May 2023 at the Kampala Serena Hotel in Uganda. Take full advantage of the investment opportunities in the East African region's vibrant oil and gas sector. To find out more on how to sponsor, exhibit, or attend the 10th EAPCE 23, visit www.eapce23.eac.int.
10 years of supporting health in Uganda. This year, the Kabaka Birthday Run will mark its 10-year anniversary on Sunday, 16th April at Lubidi, starting 7 a.m. and continue the fight to end AIDS by 2030. Buy your running kit today at 20,000 shillings from Airtel shops, Benchuanuka, Fubani, New Taxi Pack, or Majestic Brands office in Bulange Mengo. You can also pay using Airtel Money. Dial *185 *5#. Kits purchased using Airtel Money shall be picked from Airtel Wampe or Shop. Poorly sponsored by
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
It's the encounters with our majestic gorillas, the thrill of taking on the falls of the Nile River, the joy of discovering new traditions, and a lot more. Join us at the 2023 Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo from the 26th to the 29th of April at the Commonwealth Resort, Munyonyo. Rediscover our country's uniqueness and see what the tourism sector has in store for you. Visit www.poate.co.ug to secure your spot and get set to learn, network, and explore. The Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo is brought to you by the Uganda Tourism Board in partnership with Competitiveness and Enterprise Development Projects. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
So, this is a quick call. I'm almost out of minutes. Now, the center.
Why rush through such important conversations? Airtel Uganda has made it possible for you to call across all networks in Uganda at the best rates with the new Bona voice bundles. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with minutes valid for calls on all networks. Dial *100*1#. Select voice bundles and select Bona voice bundles today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
UBC News Tonight. Welcome back from the break, and thank you so much for keeping it with us. The Anti-Corruption Court has declined to grant bail to Minister for Karamoja Affairs and Women MP for Manafwa District, Mary Goreti Kitutu Kimono. This follows her being accused of failure to present substantial sureties to court, since 3 out of the 4 sureties presented to court included Minister Kitutu's husband, Mike Kitutu, were not substantial to have her out of prison.
Minister for Karamoja Affairs and Woman Member of Parliament for Manafwa District, Mary Goreti Kitutu Kimono, and her brother Nabaho Michael Kitutu have once appeared at the Anti-Corruption Magistrate Court in Kororo to hear ruling on the bail application. Before Magistrate Aslo Joan, after perusing both sides' submissions, declined to grant Minister Kitutu bail. This came as a result when 3 out of the 4 sureties presented to court by Minister Kitutu, only one surety, Saith Wambe, the Member of Parliament for Mbale City Division, was substantial.
Save for those raised in regard to the sureties not found to be substantial, as they do not meet the requirements of Rule 7B of the rules of this court. Much as this court finds that surety 3 is substantial, this court declines to grant the applicant bail, as it requires at least more than 1 surety. Let the applicant go back to the drawing board and find other sureties that probably pass this test and add onto the one that court has found.
Court also added that the 2 sureties, including Minister Kitutu's husband, Michael George Kitutu, and Joel Wandwanga, have no financial capacity and with no proper source of income to stand surety for Minister Kitutu, basing on the capacity of offences against the accused.
It is a requirement that financial capability of the sureties are demonstrated, and this was clearly elaborated upon in the case of Tefera, which I had already cited earlier on. Bank statements can be presented, and all employment identity cards or documents. The earnings of MPs is sufficient for one to be considered as a surety, especially in this court. I find that he is the only surety who passes the test of Rule 7, Sub-Rule B of the above rules, and he is the only surety that this court finds substantial.
After the ruling, lawyer for the accused person, John Tomusime, raised concern on how the Director of Public Prosecution's Office is handling the matter, among others holding press conferences about the case.
The day before we came here, that office published a document they called a charge sheet. They did not even have the courtesy of sharing the same with us. The document was not signed by court, but they declared it a charge sheet. We believe that a document only becomes a charge sheet when the court sanctions it. Secondly, on this very Twitter handle,
he also raised concern on how media is handling the reporting of the matter. Prosecution in reply asked court for more time to make its response to the defense's submissions. Minister Mary Goreti Kitutu's brother Naboya Michael Kitutu also applied for bail by presenting 2 sureties. However, the prayers were objected by prosecution, saying sureties presented are not substantial among other grounds. Chief Magistrate Joan Asiro adjourned the matter to 14th April 2023, when Minister Kitutu will present other sureties to be granted bail, and on 27th April 2023, when court will give its ruling in Naboya's bail application. Before the Anti-Corruption Court, Minister for Karamoja Affairs Mary Kitutu, her brother Naboya Michael Kitutu, and her personal assistant Joshua Abaho are facing charges of corruption, loss of property, and diverting government items. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
The Judiciary has cited a need for 10 billion shillings increase in their budget for the financial year 2023-24 from 381.9 billion to 392.5 as an increment to cater for monthly retirement benefits of judges. This was communicated by the Permanent Secretary to the Judiciary, Pius Bigirimana, during an engagement with journalists at the Judiciary headquarters in Kampala.
Following the enactment of the Judicial Administration Act of 2020, judicial officials are entitled to several retirement benefits, including to continue earning salaries, vehicles and houses, among others, depending on their ranks in the judiciary. During an engagement with the media at the Judiciary headquarters in Kampala, the Judiciary Permanent Secretary Pius Bigirimana highlighted an increment in the Judiciary's budget for the financial year 2023-2024.
That the Judiciary has prepared and submitted the budget of 392.5 billion for the financial year 2023-2024, up from 381.9 for this year. This is an indication of a slight increase of 10.59 billion. Is an indication of a slight increase of 10.59 billion. And this 10.859 billion is meant to cater for the retirement benefits.
Bigirimana also cited that the judiciary is prioritizing construction of more courts across the country so as to enhance service delivery as regards to justice in Uganda.
And in particular, we are going to focus on completing the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal. These two twin towers you are seeing here must be completed this year. And I'm happy to inform you that the Supreme Court is almost 90%. When you live here, you pass there and see, you will find that the tower is getting completed. But we have also to complete the construction of the following courts: Soroti, Rukunjiri, and Toro High Court buildings. Aribatong, Yantonde, Budaka Chief Magistrates Court. Abim, Patongo, and Kalinga Magistrate Court 1. So those will be completed.
Pius Bigirimana asked public servants to desist from corruption tendencies, which affects the socio-economic development of the country.
Corruption is a cancer. And by the way, we talk about it, just people take it lightly. It's a very, very dangerous thing. Some of these developed countries, you see, have developed because they have fought corruption. Because imagine money which is stolen, which would have built the roads, which would have built the classrooms, which would have built the health centers. You retard progress. In Asia, some people died as a result of this. They were killed because they were involved in corruption. So we have tried in the judiciary to see how we can address this matter.
As regards the National Development Plan 3, the judiciary is recognized as a key player in ensuring the rule of law and economic development of the country. Nantongo Rebecca, Susan Nabugude compiled the story.
Leaders in Dokolo district have shown concern over the scourge of ageism that has left many in deplorable conditions. Dokolo chairperson James Otoo says that lack of adequate care for older persons is a growing problem across the country due to the fast-changing family structures.
The scourge of ageism in Uganda is widely acknowledged and falls particularly on older women, majority in abject poverty and abandoned in deplorable conditions. Pascolina, although now 85 years old, is a resident of Adok sub-county in Dokolo district. She's too frail to fend for herself, surviving on handouts. Like Pascolina, many older persons are trapped in vulnerable conditions. Professor Richard Name, senior gynecologist, say many of them have complications resulting from poor living conditions.
Because they are ignored, they get this problem, nobody's there to take care of them. And I see quite a number of them coming for services here with very advanced cancers. I've seen quite a number of them dying of conditions like pneumonias. So they stay in the cold, so they're prone to pneumonias, chest infections. Others actually are dying of cancer of the penis.
NAM wants government to consider urgent medical insurance for the elderly in addition to the SAGE money.
Even that 25,000, some of them are not benefiting directly from it because they go with their grandchildren, they get that money and disappear with it.
Dokolo district, with the support of the woman MP, is moving from parish to parish documenting the elderly. The district chairperson, James Otoo, says majority are not benefiting from SAGE. Nelson Ojung also says he's left out because of age. He claims his data was wrongly captured during ID enrollment.
Actually, it's close to 50% of the older person, their national ID is not rhyming with their age. Actually, the most important thing, we are collecting data of this older person. We have started this as a pilot project. We sample about 6 sub-counties, and on those 6 sub-counties, that's what we are going to look at. I think in the long run, we shall come up with a very good comprehensive report, and I pray that this report should reach the Parliament.
The number of older persons has increased from 1.1 million in 2002 to 1.3 million in 2010 and is projected to hit 5.5 million by 2050. In Dokolo district, the woman MP Cecilia Wall has been building low-cost houses for the most vulnerable and abandoned iconic figures who retire from service with dignity.
We are told that God is love. So if you cannot love somebody who is suffering, if you cannot do something about that person suffering, then you cannot say you love that person.
UBC News.
Let's start from there. In your
Karamoja, we thank you so much for watching. Now, the struggle to guarantee quality education in remote villages of Karamoja remains ambiguous. Save the Children, a non-government organization, has been partnering with government for the last over 25 years to ensure that the nomadic children are included in the formal education system of Uganda through the periodic NORAD infrastructure. In the following story, the Uganda Debt Network, tasked by Save the Children Uganda, investigates the impact of the most recent cycle of the program that started in 2019.
This 5-year tenure of the NORAD framework ends in September 2023. In Karamoja, some remote community learning centers, formerly known as ABEC, have a wanting learning environment. Pupils sit on tree stumps sheltered by branches to form a class.
A community school has no structures. And the other thing is, it has no sitting materials like desks, tables for teachers.
Morulem Primary School has an enrollment of over 300 children split into Primary 1, 2, and 3. Not different from other community learning centers in this region.
Children were being followed and given some education, but there was some kind of delink or some limitation with regard to how they can be absorbed into the mainstream education system.
Under the current framework, 2019 to 2023, Save the Children in Uganda and government ensure that boys and girls learn and have equitable access to quality and inclusive education.
We would be very, very grateful if government quality those schools, because that is where we'll now be sure of 100% support from local government, from government of Uganda.
The target groups for the program are 59,104 children in 92 schools in the 9 districts of Moroto, Kotido, Napak, Nakapiripirit, Nabilatuk, Omoro, Gulu, Noya and Amuru. Between 2021 and 2022, literacy tests were conducted in local languages of Acholi and Nga Karimajong for grade 3 learners.
Last year is when we had a promotion of 57 children to primary 3 level.
Results showed that only 100 out of the 225 sampled grade 3 learners who received home learning packs could correctly answer literacy questions selected from the packs, with boys performing better than the girls.
Well, I'm seated in Murulem Primary School's P2 class. As you can see, I don't even have a place to sit. This is one of the challenges these schools face, coupled with the other challenges of lack of proper learning materials and enough skilled teachers. As government is committed to improve the quality of these schools, more has to be done at an urgent pace. Reporting for UBC News, Wadulo Mark Arnold in Nabilatu District.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
Their support meant so much to me, and as a teenage girl, I stayed focused and was protected from child marriage and teenage pregnancy. I will support other girls against child marriage and teenage pregnancy.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
Are you tired of high fees and slow transfer time when sending money? Look no further. Airtel Money is here to revolutionize the way you move your money. We have revised our rates, and now sending money from Airtel to other networks in Uganda, East Africa, and to the rest of the world has never been more affordable. Plus, you can trust Airtel Money to get your money where it needs to go quickly and safely. Simply dial *185# and start sending money. Switch to Airtel Money today and experience unbeatable rates and top-notch services for all your local and international money transfer needs. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
Jerry card! Jerry card! Hey, Master Blaster! Touch him, man! Jerry can with muscle! Those ones who say go for you only. Mundava! Best group is I teach you. But I'm going to put them squad because of the cover is very far. Is you serious? It's serious, you. What? Yeah? You step it on it. Add kilometers to your legs. And you get your sugar. We buy milk from Umaru. And Umaru refused to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru, wait. Jerry card.
Okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako, n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu teri kitulema.
Business news tonight. Ministry of Finance has tabled several bills in Parliament, including those related to value-added tax and withholding tax, with the aim of imposing taxes on international telephone calls and digital businesses. One of the proposed tax measures is to impose a 5% tax on various online services, including advertising platforms, streaming platforms, subscription-based services, cab hailing services, cloud storage, data warehousing, and other services that may be determined by the minister through statutory instruments.
Government believes that taxing digital services will generate revenue for the country and help level the playing field for local businesses.
All of us as Ugandans, we should look at it in good faith, that the intention is not to cripple these services, is not to make it difficult for Ugandans to communicate, to use these platforms, but is also to allow those companies make a contribution to our economy, which money we shall use now into service delivery in the country.
However, there are concerns about how these taxes may impact consumers and businesses operating in the digital space.
Now, Parliament is planning to tax these companies in two ways. That's income tax and VAT. But also one thing that is in limbo is whether it's going to be a withholding or those companies are going to have to pay that tax by themselves. It's not very clear from the text on whether it's a withholding tax or the company is supposed to come and make that payment themselves.
Businesses and consumers alike are closely watching these proposed tax measures, as they could potentially impact the cost of using digital services in Uganda. Critics argue that these taxes could increase the cost of doing business, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises, and may ultimately be passed on to consumers.
In VAT, we already know that by 2018 we had something around the ends of taxing multinational corporations offering digital services. But what's happening this year is that scope is being widened and given more depth of clarity. And we still see the same players coming in, cab hailing services, data digital content platforms, marketplace platforms, all being brought in to have a VAT tax. But remember, this tax is being visited on the non-resident. So it's not the Ugandan who's going to be paying that tax. Of course, basing on how they will price, you might end up paying a few more shillings for enjoying the service.
There are others also which have been providing services like Uber. In the past, we were not able to trace them and see how they can pay taxes, but all this has been worked out. Because you find you're a foreign-based company, you provide Uber services here in Uganda and in many other countries, but then you're not paying taxes, and yet you are doing business.
The move to tax digital services is not unique to Uganda. In neighboring Kenya, the government has already implemented a similar tax known as the Digital Service Tax, which has been levied on tech giants such as Google, Netflix, Meta, Twitter, and Microsoft. According to the Kenya Revenue Authority, they collected 174 million Kenyan shillings in digital service taxes in the 6 months leading to December 2022, equivalent to $1.6 million in digital service taxes in the 6 months leading up to December 2022. Wadulo Mark Arnold, UBC News in Kampala.
That brings us to the end of what we had for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Michael Jordan LUKOMWA with Elizabeth and Naka Koni and the whole team. Wish you the best of the night. Enjoy the next program. Don't miss Behind the Headlines at exactly 10 p.m. Good night.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Are you tired of high fees and slow transfer time when sending money? Look no further. Airtel Money is here to revolutionize the way you move your money.
We have revised our rates and now sending money from Airtel to other networks in Uganda, East Africa, and to the rest of the world has never been more affordable. Plus, you can trust Airtel Money to get your money where it needs to go quickly and safely. Simply dial *185# and start sending money. Switch to Airtel Money today and experience unbeatable rates and top-notch services for all your local and international money transfer needs. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president. She is the hope of our community. And as a community leader, I will talk to others about how we must protect her against child marriage and teenage pregnancy because it affects us all. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from pregnancy. Because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, under the auspices of the East African Community, will host the 10th East African Petroleum Conference and Exhibition 2023 from the 9th to the 11th of May 2023 at the Kampala Serena Hotel in Uganda. Take full advantage of the investment opportunities in the East African region's vibrant oil and gas sector. To find out more on how to sponsor, exhibit, or attend the 10th EAPCE 23, visit www.eapce23.eac.int.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Thank you so much once again for joining us. We have to keep thanking you because it's not that easy to get people to watch us every other night and see our amazing super soul sisters. Now that is something. Thank you so much, and thank you for the 1,000 followers on YouTube. My name is Rowena Kajumba, and we are back tonight with Brenda here. She's going to be talking. We did talk about how she's the only Ugandan on the UN committee, in this case, dealing with a number of issues. She's a lawyer. She has made her choices in life that have inspired many, and I must say she has also got feedback. You've got feedback, yes, and it's so strange. That's why we say, let's tell our stories, okay? Let people not tell for us the stories. And we're back here with Brenda. I am so happy to have you back. And we're going to talk more and more about the work, of course, that the work that Brenda does. And obviously, we'll be looking at a recap of what we had the last time we were here with Brenda. And I enjoyed myself. I don't know about you guys, but I enjoyed myself.
What I really treasured so much was the fact that I told you my mom started upgrading. She taught me in P5. That was really awesome, and she did not discriminate at all. She
was your teacher?
She was my teacher, yeah. So she treated me. Actually, she was more strict on me than the
rest of the kids.
I hated waking up. Oh God, boarding school for me was really not. I wouldn't do it again.
And of course, she's the first to represent us as a country in the UN committee.
My mom passed, and it was before the final exams. By Wednesday, I don't think I'm going to be alive. I'm going to be dead. I need you guys to focus. I've already talked to Uncle Alfred. He's going to adopt you guys. Everything is going to be great. You'll be at school. Uncle Alfred got this covered. So don't worry about anything.
Okay.
All I need for you guys is to stick together, continue working hard, and dream big.
And this is when you're at Our Lady?
Yes, in S4 towards exams.
Thank you for making time once again.
Thank you so
You're
much.
Very busy. You're very busy, but you know, you said it's okay. I will make time. Now, of course, we're going to continue this conversation. Like I said last time, we can't exhaust everything, guys. But when we have amazing women who squeeze in a bit of time to come back and share with us, then that is lovely. Now, Brenda, of course, we are going to get into more on what you do as how do you Sedao, yeah. And she's going to be getting into the details. And I feel she's the first Ugandan representing, and a female at that. And I must say congratulations. We shall keep congratulating you until.
Thank you so much.
So, Brenda, as we continue this conversation, of course, people now know, who you are and why you get into this kind of work, for the service. But let us understand more, as a female lawyer and someone who's decided to get into this kind of work. What is Sedao, you guys, eh?
Don't worry, so
however you
gets
pronounce
confused.
it, and why you decided to get into this kind of thing. But first, let us understand the kind of work and what you do as a committee in Sedao.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rena, for extending this conversation because I know you're so busy as well, but the fact that you dedicate an extra hour to listen to me and also hear about my work is very humbling. Yes. So, as you mentioned, Sedao, many people pronounce it differently depending on which jurisdiction.
I won't stop pronouncing it how you're saying it.
So you can say Sedao, Sedao. Yeah, so it depends. But the Sedao committee is based on the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. It's a Sedao Convention. A Sedao Convention is a tool that is used to advance women's rights, eliminate discrimination against women, but also, importantly, promote gender equality. Okay. And it's a United Nations treaty and has been ratified by about 192 member states. So, and Uganda ratified the Sedao in 1985. Nice. So when countries ratify the Sedao Convention, it puts them under obligation to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women, to promote gender equality, to ensure that women and girls have their rights effectively promoted, and also that women are empowered to live fulfilled lives and economically empowered lives. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what the Sedao Convention is about. So the Sedao Convention establishes a committee that is supposed to monitor how member states implement the Sedao Convention, how member states, one, put up administrative, legislative, or policy measures that are supposed to advance women and girls' rights and eliminate all forms of discrimination and promote women empowerment. So now that committee is where I am a member.
And it's 12 of you. You're 12
we are
committee.
23.
23?
Yes, we are 23. It's a committee of 23 members, and we are all voted by UN member states who are
That is a big deal.
Yes, it is, especially for Uganda and Africa, because it means that the voices, the context, and the voices of the African nation and Uganda get to be reflected.
Do you have any other colleagues from Africa?
Yes, we are 4 from Africa. There is Egypt, Her Excellency Maya Mosi. There is Nigeria, Her Excellency Esther. There is Ghana, Her Excellency Hillary, and myself. And then, so we are 23, and the members, we are elected by UN member states, member states to the Sedao Convention. And you go through an entire campaign. It's a process of about 1 to 3 years, depending on your country.
That is, wow.
Yeah, it's a long process because remember you have to go through Uganda. Your country has to nominate you, and Uganda has to receive different applications.
Yes, and then after you
go to the African Union to seek the endorsement, because Africa doesn't want to send an entire team of Africans. They want to select
people to represent.
4. Yes. That when you go to the United Nations for the election, the final round, the votes are maximized.
Yes.
So that's why the African Union endorsement. So why it's important to get the African Union endorsement is because you go with about 54 votes. So when you have that, it gives you an added advantage. So you do a lot of campaigning.
That's true.
So the committee, its work is mainly to monitor, one, how member states like Uganda implement the CEDAW Convention, but importantly, what programs, what legislation or administrative measures they are putting in place to promote gender equality, to promote women empowerment, to eliminate discrimination.
So it's almost deliberate that they're getting female representatives in this case.
Yes.
Because when you mentioned all of you from Africa, the rest of them as well?
We have one male, His Excellency.
It's new.
Salvarov.
To have a team of just one male, that's interesting.
And the CEDAW committee is big on balance and saying that men perspectives are also important in this. But again, as I mentioned, why this was very significant and important for Uganda is, you know, in Uganda, we have had a lot of advancement on aspects of women equality, women and girls, gender equality, women empowerment. We're having women in parliament. We're having the quotas where we say every district must have a woman representatives.
Yes.
We are seeing more and more women and girls having their rights respected. However, we still see the challenges. We still see the existing gender inequalities, the stereotypes that continue to exist that undermine women and girls and consider that women and girls are inferior to men.
And when it's spoken about, then we're going against what we call the culture today.
Exactly.
You're spoiling our women. You're spoiling our girls.
You're spoiling our women. You're being too feminist.
I just found out the other day that feminists, the term feminist is being used as an insult today. That if you said something and a man goes, "You're a feminist."
And
it's supposed to be bad. Is it supposed to be bad? No, it's not supposed to be bad.
And yet feminism is about ensuring that women and girls that women and girls have the same opportunities as men and boys.
Indeed.
So that's what it is. But because many people are but
it's
also,
interesting.
So you get to find that's what the committee does. So it monitors.
So what are some of the things you of course as CEDAW that you've identified and said, hey, this is what is slowing us down? Because we have a goal, we have a mission, we are putting in a lot of work and resources and engaging more women and accessibility in this case. But what are some of those things that are sort of holding us back or holding you back, you know, in terms of achieving these things faster?
Thank you for that question, and that's really significant because you get to find that Uganda is not unique to many countries because you evaluate 192 countries, and you get to realize the aspects that are undermining gender equality or women and girls having equal opportunities with men are literally almost the same everywhere, especially on the African continent. The aspect of the gender stereotypes, where we feel that are all mostly perpetrated by cultural norms, where you find that in some cultures men are considered superior to women. Women should not go to school. I'll give you just even our statistics in Uganda where we can see the gender inequality, and also this is where I must mention my very important work with the Uganda Association of Women Lawyers, FIDA Uganda. We go to the field and we establish that one of the biggest drivers of gender inequality is the cultural norms, where people the cultural norms, but also too, where women are not empowered, or women and girls are not empowered and do not know their rights. They do not know that they have a right to go to school as the boys in the community. They do not know that they're not supposed to get married before the age of 18. And if you look at our government statistics, they clearly show that more girls get married before the age of 18. I think it is about 36% of girls get married, and boys, it's only estimated at 10%. So you see that disparity.
Definitely.
You get to find that they don't know that they don't have access to technology. So as the things we take for granted, where you have access to social media, internet, majority of Ugandan women do not have access to technology or internet. Only 9%, and more men do.
And more men, yes. 23. Which is quite interesting, because even if you look in the rural spaces, the men have more access.
Exactly.
So then you ask yourself,
now
what?
The most really heartbreaking thing is the fact that you find that majority of the workforce in Uganda, 70%, is employed in agriculture sector.
Yes.
But when you look at how many women own land or have access to control or to own the land, in which even just the produce that they grow in agriculture, only 23%.
Wow.
All of it is owned by men. And remember, they're also
Or if not, then the men are in charge of, they're like the middlemen now, they're the faces of...
Exactly. And then remember, the women are not, many cultures continue to promote the aspect that women and girls can't inherit land.
Yeah.
So you find that inequality, and you know, land is both a productive resource, and then land is also, a financial, because you can go to borrow money on a loan in terms of use land as security, but women don't have that access. So all that inequality.
What you're pointing out is true. I have a very lovely young lady at home. She's Martha Agudo. She says, you see, I went back home for Christmas. I was quite disappointed. You know, and she'd be there, when she just comes, she'd say, you'd be there and you hear women crying when it's harvesting season.
Yeah.
You know, you'd hear women crying, women being beaten by their husbands in the neighborhood, when the women are the ones who've grown that crop, you know. Harvest season, while the men have been waking up every morning to drink malwa.
Exactly.
They come and say, woman, where is the money?
Now, you see, you talk about, which is something very interesting, because even at FIDA Uganda, when you go to the field and we are working on issues of economic justice, you get to realize that exactly what you've said is the same in all regions, most regions in Uganda. The women they garden, they plant, they do everything. Then when it's time for harvesting and selling, it's the men who come and take over. So, which means they don't have money. I know this affects your women a lot and girls, because now this money you should have, the products you should have sold, will give you money to be economically empowered, to access health care, to access school, to take your kids to school, give them clothing. So you see how all the fact that women are not allowed to own property or allowed to inherit or allowed to have equal opportunities undermines their ability to enjoy other rights like education.
I'm enjoying this. I see. This, you see, you tell us to discuss women issues. Let us discuss them now. Let us discuss them. I love what you brought up there, because see, it's very interesting that we're having a lot of men today saying that women are hiding their properties. You just find out the next day your wife has land. Your wife has a house somewhere, rentals, because if you're having people in the rural areas, or not even the rural areas, you'll be shocked. The place is very close, they're towns, they're close to, but if women are growing crop, they're harvesting season, and the man comes and says, give me the money, she's going to be forced to hide some, you know, in the bra, and then says, this is all I made. You get? Because if we consistently do this, there's going to be a huge problem. I think that's what brings me to my next question. Have we not done enough, or have we not involved the men in this conversation?
Well, it depends on which spectrum of feminism you're at. Because some feminists
I keep telling for these types of
feminism, we should not include men, let them handle. But for me, as a human rights practitioner and someone who is addressing and trying to work with governments and private sector to address women and girls, you realize the significant importance that men play at the table, because they're the gatekeepers of patriarchy. They're the gatekeepers of cultural norms that undermine women. So when men, and many of them don't know better, they don't know about existing laws that promote women's equality on their daughters. They don't know that their girls have the same right to go to school as the boys. They don't know that their girls should not get married before 18. They don't know better. So it's important that we engage them so that their mindsets are changed, so that they so that they're empowered to fight for their women and girls, to fight for their mothers, to fight for their sisters, to ensure that if their sister is going to get married at as young as 8, I remember we went to certain areas and you will find that even girls as young as 8 are getting married. But
yes, by the way, she did mention that too. She's taught me a whole lot.
So you find that when you empower men, when you educate them and create awareness about women and girls' rights and the needs that the women should be treated equally as men, and they should be able to
and those men train their sons.
Then they train their sons, and then you get a better, women are able to work and enjoy their lives much better.
Hand in hand with the men, yes. Because you see, most men, when you hear the term, you're spoiling our women, And they complain now, these women...
those men who say we are spoiling women are the ones who are not empowered.
Yes.
So they need a mindset
But,
change.
but while we will engage the men, we need to also let the women know that, you know, you can work cohesively with someone.
And you see, you mentioned something. Most times also women are the biggest gatekeepers of this patriarchy.
Yeah.
They're the ones who say, no, men should not do this. This is for men. This is, you know. So that's why it's important that you have to engage and create awareness and change that mindset of both men and women. So as you say, hand in hand, work together to ensure that...
I mean, if it's your sister, if it's your wife, if it's your daughter, you'd love to see them become something great. But when you go out there to a bigger population of women, you have a problem. It doesn't work like that. It can't just be yours. Because they're also someone else's mother, someone else's sister, someone else's daughter.
Yeah.
And I think if the more engagement of men. So as CEDAW, have you looked into that a whole lot?
Yeah.
In how to engage the men?
Yeah, at CEDAW, as I said, we set by example. We have a male member on the committee. But then importantly, as we evaluate member states, like Uganda appeared before the CEDAW last year in February, and the different countries that appear, we speak to different civil society organizations, women or girls or victims or survivors of rights violations on ground. So we speak to them to hear their perspectives, and then we read the government reports on their reporting on what they're doing to advance women gender equality and eliminate. So when we do that research, read the government reports, speak to different stakeholders in the country, you're able to evaluate and know the situation on ground. And based on that evaluation, we are guided by the CEDAW committee to make recommendations to the government on what they should do better to advance women and girls' rights and promote. And we do a follow-up every 2 years with the government.
Oh, that's beautiful. I want us to have this quick discussion because I know as CEDAW it has come up. Yes? And people saying, I think people have mistaken equality with trying to take on what a man is to be a woman or a woman being a man. No. I think it's just, personally I would think, we're looking at opportunities. We're looking at roles that can be played in society in terms of contributing to the society and the economic growth altogether. Yes, also spiritually, socially, in all of that sense. Now, would you agree with someone who says, no, let's focus on equity and not equality, or you think those two things in hand, if explained correctly, all are necessary?
I feel that both go hand in hand because if you look at the... Let's just look at the structural barriers that happen when a woman is at work vis-a-vis sometimes men. If you have, for example, like Uganda, the workforce, first of all, even there's a lot of gender inequality in the workforce. More men are employed than women. I think the stats, Uganda puts it at about 73 men are employed vis-a-vis 64 women. So you see that discrepancy. But you see the challenge is why we have low numbers of women employed. What could be the reason? There are structural barriers. You have to be 8 to 5 or 8 to 6. You have a young child at home who you have actually like 2 or 3 kids at home. Then you have to look at, remember also that stereotypical aspects in our country is that women are the biggest, the ones who are supposed to take care of the home. So let's say you have to take care of the home, you have to take care of the kids, you have to take care of your husband or your partner, then you have to go to work. So you see those structural barriers that are already making it hard for women to advance. So when a woman gets a promotion at work, sorry, I'm using live examples.
That's fine.
So when a woman gets an opportunity to get a promotion at work, which will involve longer hours at work, she'll turn it down and say, no, I can't.
Or travel.
Or travel. She's always going to turn it down, which undermines her advancement, her career advancement, or even the money she could be earning.
You see, Brenda, so many women right now are relating. So many women are relating because just the other day someone mentioned, if so-and-so, I can't mention who, because this person is so brilliant, they can do so many things, but because, and I'm not saying marriage is a bad thing, no, but you find that if your partner is not the type to support and trust that you can travel and work and be back and take care of your home or help you in taking care of the home. And that's the biggest problem that men have. Me, take care of the home, there's a woman.
Those are the stereotypes.
The stereotypes. That we're not saying that you helping out in your home, you're now a woman. No. You've not changed your physical or biological setup. We're just saying in terms of roles and contributions to the society. And I think many of us think it's a culture now, but I think for me it's a new culture. We had a setup, we had a system where men and women just all contribute. If one went for firewood, one was taking care of the cattle, maybe one was hunting, the other one was, you know. So I think I like where you're headed in that perspective as Seda, and of course I can see also some of your values come through in this conversation. That women have been held back in a sense that we've been told by society, like, no, you can't go any further than that. But even when we support you to be a great woman and do things, it's okay, overdoing it. Stop right there.
I think that is why it's important for government and to put in place, to work with private sector, because also it's the biggest, but also with the market vendors or the women who informal sector, to work and say, and that's something that CEDAW also pushes, that work to eliminate those structural barriers that undermine women. For example, a private sector company can say, let's put in place breastfeeding rooms for moms, so that a mom, or daycare centers right in offices, so that a mom can come. Or you'll be able to, you know, provide maybe social security. There are different ways you can, or be flexible. If you're a lady at work, your boss can tell you, you can work remotely. You don't have to come into office every single time. And that's why I think I've been blessed.
That's a culture.
I've been blessed that my boss, all my work employers have been very gracious to me. They've allowed me to always work remotely. And that has enabled me be able to kind of balance work and home. But of course, it still continues to be a challenge.
Now I see why they call the system the man. Because you see, this system has been built so highly on the patriarchal values or system, or what we understand as men always, you know, taking on certain roles, which is okay, really. But I think what we're saying here is allow the women, if capable. Because someone was saying, no, you guys, this you're taking action, deliberate moves or what, but you're putting women who are not capable in places. We say no, then that is wrong. I don't think anyone is saying put women who can't into a position. But if a woman is capable of something, please allow
But also remember, it's not, that always comes when it's about women. Men, even if they have 10 years, they have 0 years of experience, and they will get that job. They will still go ahead.
And no one will say, oh, he's not qualified or he's not good enough. So the criticisms keep coming through.
The criticism. But I think I must be very, very clear in terms of we really need to establish, especially the government, private sector, and stakeholders, even we women and girls, we need to speak up as men also and speak to this cause. We need to really try to support our women to be able to work at the same time, look after their families, and at the same time enjoy their lives. Because if a woman has to do all this, be at work, take care of the kids, and doesn't have a support system, then it becomes very challenging. They'll decide to resign. They'll decide to say, let me stay home and take care of the kids, which is also perfectly fine. But also the challenge where all this comes in is very few women are at the table. They are not given an opportunity to be in decision making. If you have women most times in decision making, they'll be able to understand that maybe let's change the company policy and allow women who have kids maybe under 2 or under 3, 2 days to work from home and 2 days, because they understand the struggle. So that's why it's important to, they'll make more women or men who are educated about gender equality or women empowerment will be able to make very gender sensitive legislation or policies in their companies or generally. So that
I like that you've pointed that out, because you know, these conversations keep coming up by the fact that we focus on women issues, and someone mentioned, you see, you guys will talk about these things and people will be like, oh, okay. Then you probably have organizations that are saying, yeah, we're for women. But when she's pregnant, you see your colleague being told, oh, you need to resign because we need someone else to take on this responsibility, because they're thinking, okay, when she pre-stages of giving birth. After giving birth, she'll probably need some more time. And I said, oh, well, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because we can't stand up and say as women, oh, we're women-driven, or we have policies that are women, that are friendly to women workers or women employees, and you fail to do that.
Yeah.
Now, when you make someone sign a resignation, it's on them, not on you, the organization, the company. So these are some of the things, though, that are still a challenge.
Yeah.
How do we convince people that this is real and it's not just speech?
No, I think both women and men support. I mean, first of all, our law is clear. When a woman is pregnant, they have entitled to maternity leave. However, many companies, if you do your investigation, have that abused. They're never given maternity leave, or when, exactly what you say, when they get pregnant, they are forced to resign. So those are aspects that's why, as we mentioned earlier, it's extremely important to continue creating awareness on what needs to be done, continue empowering. That's why I like currently my work with the Uganda Association of Women Lawyers. We do significant work in terms of providing access to justice for women and girls for the different rights violations that they face, but also we have a project together with the SIHA organization that focuses on Eastern Horn of African countries to educate women, individuals themselves, and of course sometimes work with men to empower them on aspects of women's rights, aspects of access to justice, so that they're able, so that they have the knowledge to demand those aspects of the rights that they think are being abused. So it comes down to creating awareness and empowering the women, the girls, the population on how to promote women's rights, but also how to claim their rights.
A quick reminder, we are Dotash exclusive. They give us the amazing space for us to discuss important issues like this. And speak to your daughters, speak to your sons, speak to your brothers, your husbands, your wives. These are matters that seem very trivial in a sense, that people argue about the tiniest of things just because they've turned it into a battle of the sexes. And in the end, we forget the important thing is that if you've chosen to live with someone, if you've chosen to have that child, it will come male or female. That is your child. If you've chosen to be with a husband or wife or brother or sister, okay, you may not choose that, but you have people in the community and we're all human beings and dealing together as a team. You need to accept our differences. Let's forget this patriarchy talk. Let's look at how do we improve ourselves as a community. How do we improve ourselves? Imagine seeing your young girls doing better things, seeing your wives, your mothers, your women doing better things, and seeing your sons too. Because you'll have a very supportive woman. That means you're going to have peace in your home. Okay? So at the end of the day, if everyone contributes in some sense, we shall all be happy people. I like the idea of SEDU, and I like the idea of having committee members across the world, right?
Yes, they come from the 192 member states, but we are 23 and then you have to be elected.
Okay, awesome. And you say the process is not quite easy because you must have the spirit to do this.
You know, the campaign process really exposed me, really taught me why there are very few women at the table. As I said, you really need to have a strong support system. And for me, this campaign process was 3 years because I got selected by Uganda in 2019. And then we sought African Union endorsement in 2021. And then the election was in 2022. So it's a whole 3-year process. And I must tell you, that was the most, not traumatic, very rewarding, but also very hectic, traumatizing experience
time of your life,
because you have young kids. Thankfully, I have my kid's dad, Kefa Rodongo, is and his support system are very supportive with helping me with the children. So I had to travel long hours. Then you have bilateral meetings with different member states because you're campaigning to member states.
Definitely.
And remember, it has different time zones, and you're focusing on different missions in maybe Geneva, with Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and New York. So, and then you have to make constant travels to do all these campaigns to meet the member states and convince them why they should vote for you.
Yes.
So that is extremely time-consuming. That is very hectic. And remember, you have your kids and you have family. You have work.
Yes, you have work, family,
your work, family, and the campaign. And the campaign takes up 95% of your time. So that means you're not going to sleep.
Yeah.
Because remember, New York time is 7 hours ahead. So by the time they're waking up, you're concluding your day, you're putting the kids to bed, and then you have to stay up and do bilateral meetings up to. But again, as I think I mentioned earlier, the government was extremely supportive, from Ambassador Adonia Ayebale to his entire team in New York and all the missions, because as I said, every mission and MOFA here was supposed to campaign. There is no minister who went to meet a foreign member state and did not have to campaign for me.
Yes.
In Addis Ababa, to get the African Union endorsement, Ambassador Donia had to work with Ambassador Rebecca Amuge and her team in Addis Ababa to get the African Union endorsement, because we want about 10 candidates who were seeking this African Union endorsement, but they had to choose 4. So really that campaigning was rigorous. So for me, in terms of that, I didn't sleep. I think in the run-up to the election, which about the past 9 months, I couldn't sleep. I think the biggest amount of sleep I got was about 2 hours.
Wow.
Because
and you had to start your day again.
And Uganda was, of course, Honorable Riem, Honorable JJ, Ambassador Donia and his team, the entire team in the different missions, especially in New York, ensured that, my friend, you're not slacking, you're not sleeping, because there's an election to win.
Yes.
And not just an election to win, but we have to have Uganda and African perspectives at that table. Because the decisions the CEDAW committee makes have to be, having an African there is significant, because it means now the recommendations we give, which
because you know your continent, you know your homes, you know the local.
So you're making recommendations that Uganda or
are designed
Egypt
for the
are designed for that country.
Congratulations on that, because you see, so many people, like you mentioned, at some point, people get discouraged. There's no one tapping you on your back and saying, hey, it's okay, you're doing okay, you're doing great. There's no one telling you, this is great, this is what you have to do. And then there's no one questioning your life choices, you know. And it's important that we have people like that around us.
And it's important, as you said, we spoke earlier about the mentorship, because I had very great support from my aunt, Auntie Kim, and then, of course, Lilian Adrico, Chief Sanusi from IOM, Stephanie Rivel, the ambassadors of France and the ambassadors of Germany, like everyone who is at the table was really, Honorable Dora, were really there for me. And I remember, like, the French government, the French embassy, got me to be hosted by the French government. They flew me to France to be hosted by the French government to throw me firsthand into the work of diplomacy, and this was through the PIPA program. And when I went there, because remember, I'm a recipient of 2 Human Rights Awards. So based on that, the Franco-German Peace and Reconciliation Award, and then the Women for Women, that was given to me in recognition of the work that I have done in advancing women's rights. So they took me to France to give me that first-hand experience of diplomacy, and interacting with the ministers, high-level diplomats, and that really gave me the perfect momentum to continue the election.
That's beautiful. And I think we need more of this talk. Let's, the men need to know it's okay, you know. It's okay. We need to have, if you have an empowered woman, an empowered girl, you're going to have an empowered man, an even more empowered man. You know,
that's true, and your children and the entire generation, and then the country's economic growth and development.
What would you think on the idea now, or what people are thinking as men giving up? Now we're having a generation of young men who are now sitting back and saying, it's almost like a war now. Like, you want to be empowered? Fine, go ahead, take care of the home.
I think the biggest critique is that I always hear is women are empowered. No, you're empowering women and leaving the boys behind. But that's what they're saying. But I will say, much as that's the stereotype, I mean, the conversation going on. There's still significant evidence and research and data that shows, much as women are being empowered, much as Uganda is focusing on advancing women and girls and giving them the equal access to opportunities, there's still significant number of women and girls who do not have who have unequal access to opportunities. Statistics clearly show that the ones who are suffering more, they're the ones who can't access education, they're the ones who don't have jobs, they can't own property or land. So much as the men are thinking like that, it is not the case on ground. We think women are empowered. No. Yes, we have done, there's some progress, but the biggest majority of women are still suffering. Look at when climate change happens, the impact. Who suffer most? The food is destroyed, the homes are destroyed, so women are forced to become migrant, women and girls, or the whole population is forced to move and become migrants, and all refugees are moving. So who suffers most when there's a disruption of
I like what we're not saying others, the men don't, but who suffers the most. And that's where people need to
so
get
that's
that
what I'm
point,
saying. That conversation of saying that, oh, now the men are being left behind, that's what theoretically, but
it
practically,
sounds like,
theoretically it sounds like that, but theoretically, women and girls are significantly still really marginalized. They're significantly not having any equal access to education or opportunities that are going to advance them, make them empowered, and give them the ability to live really fulfilled lives. And because when you have a society where both men and girls have equal access to opportunities, it is the community, it is your children, it is the economic empowerment that of the economic development of the country that benefits.
Now, being on the committee for eliminating, let's use the word segregation or discrimination of women, and your committee, you guys have about 3 years. 4 years, yes. What are some of the things that you feel you need to jump right onto, or have jumped right onto immediately, when you were all, brought in together as a team and said, okay, now let's start working?
So what the CEDAW committee focuses on, we do general recommendations, and then also as you evaluate a country, you come up, so every country is case by case.
So you're designing
you decide for one country. You say if Uganda comes, you have to look at Uganda as a country, and then develop those recommendations or jurisprudence based on Uganda's context. That's why when you have Uganda or Africa at the table, the recommendations you develop are based on that context. But importantly, outside that, we do general recommendations that form are very significant. For example, we have general recommendation on climate change and disaster preparedness. Then we have, which is GR 37, then we have general recommendations on gender-based violence to guide member states how to address violence. Then importantly, right now we are working on increasing equal access to political decision making for both women and for women, so that member states can follow those guidelines to ensure that they help women and girls be able to have equal access at the table. And at in the committee, I'm part of the person for climate change, because I think I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of work on climate change. When you look at climate change, you find that mostly women and girls suffer. And now with a conversation on climate justice and loss and damage, you get to find that it's very significant that I'm at the table to be able to speak on aspects of climate change, but also how to guide member states to address climate change.
That is beautiful. Well put, well said. Now, of course, we're here at Dotash Exclusive. They give us this amazing space to have our Super Soul sisters. And of course, Brenda Kia is still telling us. She's on the committee, yes, that is focusing on the discrimination of women, basically making sure that we eliminate the discrimination. Now, she's focused on a number of things. It's not just, they have a direction, okay? It's not just, oh, this one is, they look at the injustices, they're looking at things like teen marriages and teen pregnancies. They're looking at how best then we engage in so many other things that surround us. For example, you pointed out on the environment, you see, the natural disasters and things like that. At the end of the day, if we support from the grassroots, if we support as a team, if we support each other as men and women, it is not a battle. Whoever came up with this battle, the one who's shaking the giant. we need to, and like you mentioned, involving the men in a sense of them understanding what we're talking about by women equality and equity. Your career in itself has definitely helped in your work, in your line of work, and all the changes you're looking into, and policy, I must assure.
Yeah, I think that's why I appreciate why I moved back to Uganda. Because now when I moved back to Uganda, I got a deep dive into aspects that women and girls face in all access to justice, economic justice, climate change. So for me, as I said, when I moved back to UG, the deep dive, I worked with the ICGLR, then of course the ICC, but then now I also got an opportunity to work with the Uganda Association of Women Lawyers. And you know, with FIDA, it's very big on providing access to justice and promoting gender equality. But importantly, now they've established a leadership academy because they've recognized that much as we're giving us access to justice, we're also economically empowering women, but the fact that they're not there to make the decisions, they're not at the table in all spheres, whether at the grassroots level, at district level, national level, and international level. So they've established a leadership academy that aims to empower women and also build their leadership competencies and skills. So for me, that was exciting. And then the fact that I did lead a campaign it's a Rockefeller campaign without mom, together with a very good friend of mine called Bernard Mukasa. We led a campaign that aimed to address maternal deaths, preventable maternal deaths in Uganda. Because the statistics are high, 336 mothers per 1,000 births, so that's really extremely high. But I'm glad that we did our small role based on Rockefeller Foundation, and a big achievement that came from that is Uganda got selected as one of the 2 countries with India to benefit from $100 million.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
well
so
done.
that was very, very significant.
Well done.
Yeah,
well
so
done.
that is why also, but also with the work that there's been a lot of policy change, legislative reform. You've seen programs legislation that not only in Uganda but Kenya, Tanzania, all the countries that have worked, there's been a lot of change in legislation that is discriminatory. So I think that's why I got those 2 human rights awards.
Beautiful. I must say congratulations.
Thank
really.
you so much.
And you're doing well. I like that you're rocking the
medal.
Yes. So the medal, let's talk about that real quick. Yes.
So the medal was, as I did mention, based on the work that I have done in advancing women and girls' rights. But I must emphasize that it is always about joint efforts.
Yes.
You can't work at advancing women and girls' rights alone. That is why for me, when I was nominated by the Ministry of Gender and Gender, Labour and Development for the medal, and it was, I think, sent to the Presidential Committee because it's the President that really elects the people to receive the medals. So when my name was nominated, it was based on the fact that the work that I had done that had resulted in positive change. But importantly for me, when I received the medal, it's when I dedicated it literally to everyone who has been part of my journey, to everyone who has helped, who has worked with me to advance women and girls' rights, to work on aspects of climate change, because you can't do it alone.
You can't.
It is joint efforts, and this is that.
And that is a very good. That is very good when people acknowledge and say, "Hey, I didn't do this on my own, but thank you everyone for taking me through this journey and getting me to where I am."
This is joint efforts,
that is something that we need to appreciate. So you will say we never ask men. One of these days I'll ask him, and how do you balance work and life? but to be so busy, to be in and out of the country. Okay, now you've mostly settled.
Because
you have a lot of work going on. Yes. How then do you do that? What do you do to sort of go back rejuvenated and fresh?
Oh God, and the work is we are based in Geneva. But I'll tell you, as you made that entire description, it reminded me, you know what my son one time said, "Mommy, you do all this important work, you do all this, but do these people know that you eat from a saucepan?" He saw me. He saw me. You know how you're cooking and then you're testing. You get a mingling stick to test the sauce. So he thought I was eating from the saucepan. So it's like you do all this important work. You're changing. You're trying to fight for women and girls to get the best opportunities, but you're always eating the saucepan. So it's oh God. children. So that grounds you and brings you back to reality. To know that, my friend, you may be doing this, but at home you always have to be the mom.
A mom, take care of your children.
But just to say the balancing aspects, it's hard to balance, but sometimes you have to prioritize. But what I've been blessed with is I have a very great support system.
Yes.
My kid's dad, Kefa Odong, as I mentioned, has a very strong support system that helps him really help me with the kids. So each time I'm traveling, I'm able to be at peace and know that they're well taken care of. However, also, as I said, you have people around you. You have to prioritize in terms of knowing what work, how am I support, like the mentors around you who help you, who guide you and tell you that, you know what, you don't have to be away for, like now I'm very strategic in knowing I can't be away more than 2 months because before I was always away. And one time I went to pick my son, so that's why I'm saying it's challenging. I went to pick my son from school. I was in Bestie and he didn't know me. Okay, he knew me, but you know,
you had taken a while.
Exactly. So I went to pick him from his school. So I landed that morning and said, I'm excited, I'm going to pick my son. Emmanuel from school. I reached there. The boy looked at me and said, he was happy, he gave me a hug. Besides, remember the teachers also don't know me because this is he had just started school and I've been away. The boy gave me a hug, he was excited. Then I told him, oh, let's go. He's like, but mommy, you never picked me from school. I'm not coming with you. Oh, wow. It's daddy who picks me.
Oh dear.
So now when he said that, the teachers don't know me, they couldn't let me go with my son.
Oh my goodness.
So now what happened is we had to wait. They had to call the dad, Kefa, to come and pick him. So I had to wait about 45 minutes until
oh my God, that must have been heartbreaking.
So that's why I'm saying it's a huge sacrifice when you have to do advancing women, working to advance women's rights, but also aspects of balance. That's why it's hard. It's challenging. You can't balance work. It's hard. So just have a great support system.
And what do you do in your free time when you choose to spend time with the kids? And
free time. Huh? What do I do in my free time? I sleep.
You sleep? Yeah, you need the rest. You need the rest. It's also fine. You need the rest. Trust me. You need the rest.
I sleep to be honest.
I love that. You need the rest. That is very true because you have to catch up at some point.
I have to catch up and sleep.
And we do appreciate you. Find what you have for the people out there that are watching us here. They want to hear from their super soul sister, you know. In regards to, of course, you as a person, we're talking about the young girls and boys out there and why this work is important and why it's important for us to have this conversation.
As I said, like last time I did conclude already, they should never give up, but they should always speak up. Silence should never be an option, but also seek out, especially career-wise, because this has focused a lot on my career and my work. Women and girls have the confidence to seek out any opportunity that you want to seek out. Men never second-guess themselves when they want to apply for maybe to be the president. We women have to say, oh, but now this, do I have the qualifications? No, go for it. Have the confidence to go for whichever position that you want. Seek out opportunities, but also when you have an opportunity presented to you, maximize it, because that opportunity opens up different networks for you. It builds your competence and expertise in the field that you're working. So in a nutshell, but also always, importantly, as I emphasized earlier on, that always speak up. If you see injustice, speak up. Don't be intimidated and continue working to advance women's rights. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, Brenda, Akia, who we've started, let's continue this conversation, you know. And of course, we're talking about what they do. As said, of course, she's on the committee that is focused on eliminating all sorts of discrimination against women. And of course, all the other things she has gotten to do achieve is not just for her, but also a service. Now, many people say, I would rather not do that because I'm going to be tagged or termed certain things. So thank you so much. You can always find us on YouTube. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. You find us on YouTube, Soul Sisters, Super Soul Sisters UG, and the S is like a 3. Then you can also get us on TikTok at Super Soul Sisters, Instagram, Super super_soul_sisters, and you can check us out. Tell us what you want to tell us. You all are super soul sisters out there. Maybe share, your experiences as well. It would be nice for us to engage on these platforms. Give us feedback on how you've been inspired by our super soul sisters. My name is Rowena Kajumba. From me and the entire team, we wish you a good night. My producer, my boss, is giving you kisses, but thank you so much. We appreciate you. Have a good night.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The Uganda Vision 2040 and Third National Development Plan for Uganda have recognized the importance of urbanization as a force for socio-economic transformation across the country, and in particular, the need for regional and strategic cities beyond the capital to drive the urbanization agenda. As part of this, the government of Uganda has created 15 cities in the country, in addition to the capital city of Kampala. Effective 1st July 2020, 10 cities became operational. These are Arua, Mbarara, Gulu, Jinja, Fort Portal, Mbale, Masaka, Lira, Soroti, and Hoima. These cities operate under the Local Government Act and under the guidance of the National Urban Policy. However, creating these cities was just the first step. Making them engines for growth and hubs of happiness requires forward planning and proactive policies to enable job creation and rising living standards. In light of this, on the 3rd March 2021, the Ministry of Local Government and the International Growth Center